Hello, dear students. And, I would like to remind you that our subject is marketing communications, and I am Lucia Tagaybaeva, the candidate of economic sciences from Karaganda Technical University. Will represent you the Department of Economy and Management of Entrepreneur. Our specialty is marketing. And today I would like to introduce you the lecture number 2, and the theme of our lecture for today will be the management of marketing communications. The plan of our lesson will consist of 3 questions. The first one, what is management, its definitions and functions? The second one, we will speak about the management concepts and the style. And at the end, we will look through marketing communications industry. So, the goal of our today's lesson to study the management of marketing communications, its relationship with the advertising and personal selling. Let's start from the first question and discuss what is management, its definitions and functions. Workplaces depend on the strength of those in management positions. In addition to directing employees, managers must communicate with more senior professionals in their company to ensure the team meets goals and furthers the company's mission. Although the duties of managers differ based on their industry and workplace, most fulfill the same basic responsibilities. In this lesson, we discuss what management is, the operations of management, and how you can become a good manager. So, the manager first is the coordination and administration of tasks to achieve a goal. Such administration activities include setting their organization strategy and coordinating the efforts of staff to accomplish those objectives through the application of available resources. Management can also refer to the seniority structure of staff members within an organization. The next to be an effective manager, you'll need to develop a set of skills. About the skills, we'll speak a little bit later, including planning, communication, organization, and leadership. You will also need extensive knowledge of the company's goals and how to direct employees, sales, and other operations to accomplish them. Now you can see the 5 basic operations of a manager. In general, there are 5 basic functions of a manager. The first function, this is not a little bit right. The first is setting objectives. The second one, organizing. The third, motivating the team. The fourth one, devising systems of measurement. And the last one, the fifth, this is the developing people. Let's look through each of those 5 functions. And the first function, this is the setting objectives. Setting and achieving objectives is the primary way of a manager accomplishes and maintains success. They must also be able to convey them to their staff or employees in a compelling manner. For instance, a restaurant manager could state their want to improve service times and remind employees that faster service increases revenue, the tips. The second one, this is organizing. Managers evaluate the type of work divided into achievable tasks and effectively delegate it to the staff. Organization consists of a series of relationships among individual staff as well as departments or entities inside their organization. It is the manager's responsibility to ensure that those individuals and entities work together in harmony, which includes motivating staff members and departments to stay on task. A good manager is skilled at building interpersonal relationships among their team members and can troubleshoot when members confuse their encounter challenges. Organization also requires a manager to establish relationships of authority among their team members. Maximizing organizational arrangements can help businesses enhance the company's efficiency in the market, reduce costs of business, and improve productivity. So the next one, this is motivating the team. In addition to the task of organization and delegation, motivation includes having the skills to handle different types of personalities in a team. An effective manager must know how to form and lead successful teams and know how to galvanize team members around the cause. The fourth one, devising systems of measurement. Managers need to set targets or key performance indicators that the team aims for and then generate ways to measure whether the team is not tracked to meet those goals. Because it can be challenging to come up with measurable ways of understanding performance, managers must often be creative and thoughtful. However, like the other functions of management, measurement is critical to improving business performance. The next one, the fifth one, this is the last, developing people. In addition to leading their team toward a goal and measuring their progress along the way, good managers invest in their staff's development. Managers can, for example, work with their team to help them set goals to move up in their careers. Managers must have leadership skills to use those 5 operations successfully. They are responsible for coaching their team members by helping them recognize their strengths and weaknesses and improve their performance. Different managers may have different styles of leadership. Regardless of their style, managers should develop their leadership skills to be an effective supervisor. Now, let's speak about the second part of our lecture. This is the management concepts and its style. A manager needs to understand a few simple ideas to employ the 5 basic operations. Those concepts are essential to ensure their team comes together to reach their business goals. This is the first goal. This is control. Employees of an organization need to understand the goals that they are aiming for as well as the measurement that will be used to determine whether they have been successful. Different staff members in a company have different roles that entail separate levels of responsibility. A manager must have control over what the members do, how they do it, and how to measure their progress. Control over those factors helps a manager reach success. This next goal is planning. The best managers know that planning is critical before the implementation of any strategy, but it's also an ongoing activity. Planning doesn't end when implementation begins. Rather, management needs to be prepared to answer the questions of who, what, when, and where a team is working to implement the organization's mission. Planning should include selecting objectives as well as implementing them. Staffing. Staffing is an underappreciated but crucial function of management. Managers need to ensure that they have the right people for the job, but they also need to pay attention to issues like organizing workplace policies. The company needs to retain the best talent by providing incentives such as benefits, paid time off, and throughout training program. The management style is for management style. Analysts who study management have identified several effective leadership styles. There is no one best style of management, and some people will feel more personally suited to one type or another. You can also select elements of different styles of management to create the best archetype for you and your company. Here, we briefly review 3 positive management styles that can help make any manager a more effective leader. Persuasive management style. A compelling leader spends a lot of time with their team members. Being engaged with the employees allows the persuasive manager to lead by example and to gain buy-in and compliance from the team by persuading rather than instructing or demanding. Influential managers are aware of the work that their team members are doing on a day-to-day basis and are involved in their work lives. As for democratic management style, a democratic manager invites the team to be directly involved in decision making. Open lines of communication between democratic managers and employees allow those types of managers to understand the skills and advantages that each employee brings to the table. Open participation and exchange of ideas among different levels of employees allow everyone to contribute to the outcome of a decision or a project. This style of management is more successful when managers develop organized and streamlined decision-making processes. Otherwise, accepting input from everyone can make the process sluggish and disorganized. Laissez-faire management. The laissez-faire management functions almost more like a mentor than a manager. They empower their employees to step up and make decisions. This allows the team to feel like they own a part of each project. The manager takes a backseat role, stepping in to offer advice or get things back on track when something goes wrong. Otherwise, they stand aside, allowing their employees to flourish creatively and exercise their own leadership. Now, let's look through the tips for being a good manager, as we mentioned before. There are several ways to advance your management skills, including first skill, communicate. It's important to communicate with your team so you can understand their needs, evaluate their progress, and help them achieve their goals. The second tip, this is sounds like be positive. You should be the one to set an example for your team to follow. Be positive during your interactions with your team so they feel more comfortable communicating with you. Next tip, train when needed. Assess the skills of your team and see if you could improve any areas with training. Training also helps your team learn new skills and fosters growth. Next one, collaborate. As a manager, you should feel comfortable delegating tasks, but you also work with your team to accomplish common objectives. Collaborating with your team will also allow you to see if there is anything you can do to help individual teammates or the team as a whole. And the last tip, this is practice. Perhaps the best way to acquire new skills is to practice them in a real-life management setting. Gaining on-the-job experience in those skills will help you on the promotion ladder. Do your best for your team. Serve as a leader and treat your team fairly. Now, this is the last part of our lecture, and the third question, this is the marketing communications industry. On the figure number 1, you may see the tools and position of the marketing communications mix. What is interesting? The interesting is that in the middle of the circle, we have the target audience that is surrounded by media. And only in the next space after the media, we have 5 components, 5 communication mix that play each its role in all this system of selling the product. So here we use the direct marketing when we need. Then we try to use our public relations and to make our personal sellings using a very good advertising, and at the end we call this as a sales promotion, as we use our skills of the sales. So the next figure will be about the system of marketing communications. In this system, you may see a little bit different picture. For example, in the middle of the circle, we have all those 5 components that each combine itself as advertising, sales promotion, the personal selling, public relations, and direct marketing. And in front of this space, we have the target audience and 5 next communications as promotional objectives, the positioning of our product on the market, the resources that we also use, and the skills about the research and the evaluation. And at the end, this is the context analysis that we should do after our marketing research. So the next figure number 3, this is the model of marketing communications and hypermedia computer mediated environment. What is interesting in this picture? Above the line, we see the content that has the firm. We have different firms, and they are going in the medium, because they wanted to sell their product or their service. And above the line, we have the content with our consumers. People whom we want to sell. So this is the line between our firm and the consumers that we call medium. The last figure, this is the principal organizations in the marketing communications industry. Here we see that our media are connected with agencies and rather our clients are connected with the production and support companies. So those 2 different types collaborate with each other, and they cross each other, and we use all of them in our whole system that we call our sales and promotions. So let's speak about the agency types. We have a few of them, and here I would like to introduce the main agency types. For example, full service. This is creative development, strategic planning, production, media planning, and buying and market research. Then the next, this is creative shops. Hot shops provide specialist creative services. Then media independence provides specialist media services, planning, buying, and monitoring purchase of media schedule. The next one, a la carte agency. This is the company selects a range of services from a range of different specialized agencies. The next here gives choice and flexibility for us, then takes a lot of time, effort, and commitment to manage the potential number of relationships involved. Then new media. This is provision of internet facilities, VAP technology, and the interactive television. Now we see the basic communication tools. Marketing communications, as we call it, promotion, are the last traditional PI in the exhibition business, defined in the dialogue between the exhibition company and the consumers of its exhibition product, exhibitors, and visitors. Traditionally, the complex of marketing communications includes 5 main communication tools. Now, let's speak about the first tool. This is personal selling. This is direct interaction with one or more potential buyers for the purpose of organizing presentations, answering questions, and obtaining orders. Then, direct marketing. This is the use of mail, telephone, telefax, email, and other non-personal means of communication to directly influence actual or potential consumers. Then advertising, one more tool. This is any form of non-personal presentation and promotion of ideas, goods, or services paid by a certain entity. The next one, sales promotions. Those are a variety of short-term incentives designed to encourage consumers to buy or try out a product or service. Now let's speak about sales promotion. When developing a sales promotion package, organizations should adhere to certain rules. Those rules we look through together. The first, determine the stimulus budget. Currently, there are many ways to determine the budget. The most common of those are, first, from cash. The company allocates as much for stimulation as it sees fit. Without a commensurate budget funds with the sale volume. As a result, the budget becomes more vague every year. It becomes more difficult to track cash flows. So the effectiveness of marketing forward planning is deteriorating. The next one, from percent to sales volume. This method has several advantages. It's believed that the incentive budget is calculated based on the amount of planned profit, which makes the costs of marketing activities as transparent as possible, which of course cannot but suit managers. For example, some large car companies spend a contingent share of the car's price on incentives. The next one, this is competitive parity method. Manufacturing firms track the amount of incentives from their competitors and send similar costs for themselves. And the next is the last, this is planning goals and objectives. This method most fully meets the requirements of modern strategic planning. The stimulus budget is determined on the basis of planned goals, set targets for the implementation, and an analysis of the costs of achieving those goals. Second, select incentives. When making a choice, it's necessary to remember that each incentive is individual. They have their own unique qualities as well as their own costs. So advertising, let's try to define its specific properties. The first property, this is the ability to induce advertising aims to encourage the buyer to purchase the product. Comparing the appeals of various producers, the consumer has an ultimate choice. Placement of advertising on the scale of a single region of country indicates the success, popularity, and solidity of the advertiser. The next property, expressiveness. Thanks to their bright appearance of advertising, catchy letters, and memorable plot, it draws attention to the manufacturer as its product. However, excessive flashiness can divert attention from its essence, push away from the product. The next property, impersonality. Advertising doesn't provide the form of communication that occurs when the buyer contacts the seller. The audience watching the advertisement doesn't feel the desire to respond or at least pay attention. The lot of advertising is a monologue. Personal selling is characterized by three characters. The first personal character, it's of great importance since direct communication implies close contact between two or more participants in communication. The consumer has the opportunity to more thoroughly study the offered product, ask questions of interest to him, and get more detailed answers to them, make a decision to purchase the product faster. Next, the second, the formation of relations. There are often cases when personal selling contributes to the formation of not only formal relations like seller to buyer, but also informal relations. It happens that after talking, the buyer and seller continue to maintain relationships that later develop into friendship. A good seller listens carefully to all the wishes of the buyer and takes his interests to heart. Such relationships have the positive effect on the image of the company. The last one, a call for response. With a properly conducted conversation, the buyer feels a sense of obligation for the time allotted to him, but it's not recommended for the seller to insist on making a purchase because this can lead to the opposite effect. The task of the seller is to quietly push the buyer to make a purchase decision, even if it doesn't happen today. Now we see propaganda. Propaganda, it has three characteristic qualities. The first quality, reliability. Unlike advertising, newspaper articles look more believable and clearer than advertising booklets. The next quality, the most complete coverage of the audience. The positive effect is that the information reaches even those who don't want to pay attention to advertising or communicate with sellers. Information comes in the form of news. The last quality, catchiness. Like advertising, propaganda has similar opportunities to attract consumers. When developing a marketing incentive package, the firm should also pay attention to the following factors that form its system. First, determine the type of market or product and choose the most appropriate means of stimulation for them, or whether it be advising, propaganda, or personal selling. Secondly, define a product promotion strategy and method to attract consumers. Those can be aggressive methods of imposing their products or wholesalers who in turn also imposing the goods on consumers, or creating consumer demand for those products by organizing various promotions. Thirdly, determine the degree of readiness of the buyer and determine the stage of the product life cycle. When promoting a new product to the market, the consumer is not yet aware of the novelty. It would be advisable to use advertising and propaganda here. At the stage of product growth, the importance of advertising and propaganda remains the same, but the main role is assigned to personal sales. At the stage of decline in demand, advertising and propaganda are gradually nullified, but personal sales are still paid attention. Now, this is the end of our lecture, and you may watch the 3 control questions. So after this, I would like to advise you the literature that you may look through and read when you have your free time. I would like to wish you good luck and see you on our next lecture, on our third lecture.